So good morning. Today we are continuing our lecture on the different methods of environment impact assessment. In the last class, we have seen two methods. What were the two methods we have seen in the last class? One was ad hoc method and the other one was method of overlays. Now there are more methods. There are several other methods which can also be used for environment impact assessment. We are going to see those methods one by one now. Okay. So we have already seen two methods, ad hoc method and method of overlays. These two methods have also already been completed. Now let us see the third method, that is known as the checklist method. What is happening in this checklist method is related to the particular type of action. Okay. Whatever type of action is being conducted or is being in action, what is the activity being done? Related to that activity, what are the different environmental parameters? Those environmental parameters will be listed. Okay. So in checklist method, what is happening? Listing of environmental parameters is happening. Listing of environmental parameters. Now, there are different ways in which this environmental parameters can be listed. Okay. Or there are different categories of listing this environmental parameters. Categories. So what are the categories? What are the different categories? First category, you can write it as a simple checklist method. Okay, so what is being done in this checklist method? Corresponding to the action, okay, corresponding to what is the action being happening. A listing of the environmental parameters is being done. A listing of the environmental parameters is being done. And there are different categories in which this can be done. The first one being a simple. What is being done in a simple one? In simple one, just listing of the parameters is done. For example, you have a project under consideration and you are seeing what are the parameters that need to be considered in this study. For example, air, water, these are different parameters. We are just mentioning the parameters. We are not going into much details. We are just mentioning the parameters, or the parameters are simply being listed. That is the simple method. The second method is somewhat advanced. It is known as a descriptive method. So in simple method, only the listing of parameters was done. In case of descriptive method, the parameters are listed and also the measurement of parameters is done. For example, we have seen that air pollution is a parameter under consideration in the first category, in the simple method. Whereas in descriptive method, we have listing out the parameter known as air pollution and how much air pollution is happening. A measurement is done. What is the amount of air pollution happening? A measurement is done. Okay. So that is it. Only simple, and second one is descriptive method where parameters are being measured also. Third method is known as scaling. Scaling. What do you mean by scaling? Scaling method means depending on the importance, okay, or depending on the magnitude or how much severe is it. You have a scale with you. You have seen many scales, like whenever you are filling some Google surveys or all, you will be coming across assign 1 for less important, assign 5 for more important, or for the best ranking, assign 5, like that you have seen. Similarly, here also you have a ranking system. It may be like starting from -5 to +5, with -5 being the least and +5 being the best. Okay. So simple means listing out of parameters only. Descriptive method means parameters are listed and the parameters are being measured. Scaling method means depending on the magnitude or depending on the severity of impact, it will be assigned a numerical value. Why the scaling is done? Different parameters will be measured in different scale. For example, if water pollution is one parameter, how can you measure water pollution? By the amount of BOD present in water sample, right? You have studied all those things regarding BOD, dissolved oxygen, etc. So water pollution can be measured like that. But if there is some other form of pollution, for example, noise pollution, Noise pollution will be having another unit. So the scaling will enable to bring all the parameters to a uniform scale where the evaluation or assessment purpose will become more simple. Okay, so that is why scaling is to be done. And scaling is usually done in a scale of -5 to 5, where -5 being the least and +5 being the maximum. And the fourth one is scaling and weighting. Scaling and weighting, that is the last one. In the scaling and weighting, in scaling, depending on the magnitude, right? Depending on the magnitude of impact, you are assigning values, whereas in weighting, different parameters are considered, and which among these parameters is more important. Okay, what is the significance level of these parameters? That is being considered in weighting. So significance of impact, that is being considered in scaling and weighting. So that is about the third method, that is the checklist method. So in checklist method, what is being done? Identify the parameters, and different categories of parameters are like, first one is simple, where only identification of parameters is done. Second one is a descriptive method, where parameters are identified and they need to be measured. Third one is scaling method, where depending on the magnitude of impact, a scaling is done where the values obtained between values like -5 and 5. Scaling and weighting method, magnitude and the significance of impact is taken into consideration. So that is about the checklist method of environmental assessment. So we have seen three methods. Ad hoc method is done, method of overlays is done, and third one is checklist method. Now we are going to see about the fourth method, that is known as the network method. What is happening in a network method is the project. We have a project with you and you have a potential impact. Okay, due to the project, what is the potential impact? This project and potential impact will be related with a type of network diagram known as the cause condition effect diagram. A cause condition effect diagram. So what is being done is, what are the parameters or what are the impacts? That impacts are being identified and this impact will be presented. So this network diagrams will be acting as a guide for identification of impact and how their impact and how their results can be presented. Okay, so this is about the network method. For example, for a project, we have a first order condition charges, then second order condition charges, then third order condition charges, and finally effects. So that is about the fourth method known as the network method. Now coming to the fifth method. The fifth method, you have a method known as the metrics method. What is happening in metrics method is the project activities and environmental impacts. Project activities and environmental impacts will be presented in a metrics form. For example, first of all, you are identifying. After identification, you need to assess the magnitude and impact. Assess the magnitude and impact. First of all, you have identified the project activities, and depending on the different project activities, you are identifying what is the magnitude and how these activities impacting. Okay, then you have a matrix. The matrix will be consisting of different rows and columns, where the rows will be depicting the project activities. Rows will depict the project activities and columns will be depicting the environmental impacts. Okay, the rows will be detecting the project activities and the columns will be depicting the environmental impact. So this is how the matrix method works. A matrix is prepared where matrix will be consisting of several rows and columns, where the rows will be denoting the project activities and the columns will be denoting their environmental impact. Okay. Now, for assessing weights, we told that why weights are being assessed. There are 3 levels of impact using which the weights are assigned. The 3 levels being major, minor, and intermediate. Major, minor, and intermediate are the 3 levels of impact, and depending on this, the assessment will be done. Okay, so that's it. That's about the matrix method. Okay, so we have seen the 5 different methods of environmental impact assessment. The first one being ad hoc method, method of overlays, checklist method, network method, and method of matrices. And the last one, last but not the least one, that method is known as a computer aided method. Okay, so what is happening in computer aided method is, as the name suggests, a computer system will be aiding, and it will be helping in identifying the activities that are associated with implementing major government parameters to identify potential environmental impacts at different levels. Okay, so that's it. A handout regarding the different methods is already shared to you, so you can go through that and understand about the 6 different methods. So I'll just repeat once more the different methods, 6 methods of EIA. First one being ad hoc method, method of overlay, matrix method, network method, checklist method, and last one is the computer aided method. Now we are going to see what are the criteria for selecting the EIA methodology. Okay, criteria for selecting EIA methodology. Criteria for selecting EIA methodology. So there are 2 things which are to be kept in mind while a EIA methodology is being selected. The basic 2 things are, first one is the methodology which is selected should be comprehensive in nature. It should be covering all the aspects. It should not be unidimensional or just confined to a single, right? It should be covering all. It should be a comprehensive in nature, covering all the related or all the required aspects of assessment. All the required environment of parameters can be selected. So that should be comprehensive in nature. And second one is flexibility of detecting project generated impacts. Flexibility of detecting project generated impacts and objectivity. Okay, so what are the impacts generated by the project that need to be detected in a flexible manner, and the different objectivity should be able to be listed out in a flexible manner. These are the 2 criteria for selecting an EIA methodology. First one is it should be comprehensive in nature, and second one is there should be flexibility in detecting the project generated impacts and objectivity. Okay, now there are certain selection criteria for the different EIA methods available. Okay, so selection criteria, we can say it like, for the selection criteria, either there should be complete uniformity. Okay, I told about the different methods available. We have seen the 6 different methods available. Now the question is, which method need to be selected for our particular project? So there are 2 criteria for selection. First one is complete uniformity. The advantage of complete uniformity is like it can be having very ease in reproducibility and comparability. Okay, which means that for all the different stages of the project under consideration, you have selected the same methodology of environment impact assessment. So if same methodology is selected throughout, the best advantage is it will be having great uniformity. It will be totally uniform in nature. If it is totally uniform in nature, it will be very much easy for reproducing the result and for comparing the result obtained from different sources, or for comparing the result obtained from different phases of this assessment. There should be very much ease if a complete uniformity is being done. So that is the selection criteria: complete uniformity, ease in reproducibility and comparability. Second one is complete uniqueness. For complete uniqueness, the basic thing is all the different situations will be unique. We cannot have a comparison of the different situations. Okay. So that is another criteria. So the person who is doing this impact assessment should either choose between these two. Either he should go for complete uniformity. I want to have a better reproducibility and better comparability of my results. So I am going for this method throughout. It should be completely uniform. Or that person can decide that I want uniqueness. Okay, the different situations which is coming in front of me is unique in their nature. There can be no relationship coined out between all these things. So there should be a complete uniqueness. Okay, so these are the two factors or two criteria for selection of a method of EIA: complete uniformity and complete uniqueness. So in this lecture, we have seen about the different methods of environmental impact assessment and what are the criteria, selection criteria for a suitable method of environmental impact assessment. Okay, so we'll stop. We'll meet in the next class with some other topic. Okay, thank you.